Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Day to Day, the podcast where we explore the joys and challenges of everyday life. I'm Emma.
And I'm Alex. Whether it's personal growth, navigating relationships, or just tackling the chaos of the day, we're here to talk about it all and hopefully help you along the way.
So grab your coffee, tea, or whatever keeps you going.
And let's dive into today's episode. All right, picture this. You're at the 15-year reunion with your middle school buddies, and somehow the conversation inevitably drifts to those old school crushes. Seems like a simple enough topic, right?
Right, but in this scenario, things take a turn. The guy who used to pine over his crush back in the day suddenly has a rather unexpected perspective on things.
Exactly. He goes, "Don't be like me, man. True devotion is a suicide mission. It just sets you up for disappointment."
Wow, that's a twist. I'm betting there's a hidden story behind those words.
Oh, you bet there is. Our female protagonist might have a different take on this whole saga.
I can already sense where this is heading. Turns out, both were living in their own narratives, complete with misunderstandings and unmet expectations.
It was classic middle school antics turned into life lessons. Like, remember when the guy would stare at her during breaks or change his profile name to some Disney prince just to catch her attention?
Ah, the longing gazes and cringy displays of affection. Middle school romance at its finest. But let's get real. Did these gestures really mean he was truly in love, or...
Or was he infatuated with the idea of being infatuated? It seems he wore this hopeless romantic badge quite proudly.
Turns out his feelings didn't cost less enthusiasm in new environments. Every social setting was another opportunity to replay the drama.
All the while, she'd already moved on in college, only to be bombarded by strange calls asserting, "Why don't you just accept him?"
That's wild. But can we talk about how blind devotion can sometimes mask an underlying self-centeredness?
Right? When you're deep in these wild gestures, it's easier to overlook the actual needs of the other person. Like that family phrase, lead with your heart, but take your brain with you.
And so he embodies this Dunning-Kruger effect of romance, so confident in the belief, yet blind to its simplicity.
What gets me is that both were always so near, yet so far. They never truly spoke, and what few exchanges they had barely scratched the surface.
Funny how proximity does not equate to a genuine connection. It's like being passengers on the same train for years without once meeting eyes.
And here we see the dangers of living in a fantasy relationship. From unmet overtures to unspoken needs, it's a looming house of cards.
Which begs the question, are we sometimes so busy projecting our dreams that we miss seeing the person standing in front of us?
Reminds me of that insightful narrative about parents and devotion. Isn't it fascinating how we use similar patterns even in romantic pursuits?
Definitely. When love becomes a tool for self-validation, it loses its genuine aspect. It becomes about us, not them.
True love is not an enigma you solve overnight. It's about knowing when to let go of that fairy tale and embrace real, tangible aspects of a relationship.
Just like parenting without seductive affection, we need to learn that sincerity, without an agenda, creates the human connections we truly crave.
So in retrospective, maybe his story speaks to all of us. Be authentic, and remember to watch out for your blind spots. Real love isn't about you, it's about us.
Absolutely. And on that note, let's leave our listeners with this thought. Do you strive for mutual happiness, or are your relationships merely playing out your own screenplay?
Brilliant question. Keep pondering that, folks, and remember, love should feel like co-directing a movie, not being a star in your own.
Well said. And with that, we wrap up today's chat. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
Catch you next time for yet another deep dive into the ins and outs of human connections. Stay curious.